And welcome to Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the D. Welcome, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everyone who is watching us on Facebook. Did you know you can head on over to The Real Level Up? That's The Real Level Up on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram now. This is our first Sunday, you guys, that we are broadcasting live on Instagram. But I also want to let you guys know where you can go and watch us exclusively live on Stoop Up. What I want you guys to do is head on over to StoopUp.com, sign in, get your stoops ready, and be ready for when we go exclusively live in January. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm excited for another show. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you are watching on this screen and seeing some beautiful ladies that are accompanying me. Let me bring in my guest co-host, Miss Kimberly Howell. Hello, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be home.
Uh, where you been, Kim? Where you been? Where...
Mhm.
Oh, you don't want to tell anybody.
No.
Uh-oh. Somebody said, uh-oh. Well, Kim, welcome back home. I'm glad you are able to sit in for Mr. Scribe. Family first, ladies and gentlemen. He had something to do with his beautiful, lovely wife this afternoon. And we're just going to say, do your thing, Mr. Scribe. You know what? Happy wife, happy
Happy
life.
life.
That's all I got to say.
He
That's all I got.
understands the assignment.
He does understand the assignment. I'm not mad with him. But I got to say, Kim, I'm excited that you said yes to doing this show because I saw your face when we were doing that pre show when you finally figured out who this esteemed, honored guest that we have in the virtual studio called StreamYard. Welcome to
Mhm.
Level Up Nation, Don Silva. Thank you for coming in.
What an honor to be here. What's up, Sister Soldiers? So
Glad to
happy to
have
be
you.
here.
Glad to
Glad
have
to
you.
be here, Miss Angee, Miss Kimberly.
Yes.
Happy holidays to you too.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Thank
Wow. And
you.
you know
Thank
what?
you.
I know this is probably the perfect timing for you to come on our show, Don, because you are a busy woman. Man, let me just give a
Whew.
little bit of history of how you and I connect. So, Don, they always accuse me of bringing on, friends of mine that I've known for years, 10, 20 years, right? Well, I got to say, Don, when I first met you, I met Don, ladies and gentlemen, through um, it was LinkedIn,
Right,
LinkedIn,
right.
LinkedIn. And I got to tell you, let me just give you your flowers, Don. Listen, every last picture that I saw and everything that you talked about just hit my soul. First of all,
Oh,
it was your beauty that caught my eye, and I'm like, who is this beautiful woman?
thank you. Thank you so much.
Man,
Whew.
and listen, and not only that, just everything you were talking about, Don. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, she has a vast history. She is a celebrity in her own right. But Don, I promise you, when you and I finally got on the phone, we finally started talking, it was as if I knew you 10, 20 years. That's just how relatable you were. And you made me feel like uh, just the rich history you were sharing with me. And right then and there, I'm like, I want Level Nation to hear this. I got to have the listening and viewing audience listen to what we are talking about. So Don, thank you once again for coming on.
It's such an honor to be here, and I'll return that, um, accolades back to you for your show. If anyone thinks that the social networks out there in cyberspace doesn't work, guess again,
Ooh,
because
It
meeting you,
does.
I met you on LinkedIn of all
LinkedIn.
places. Wasn't the other Facebook? Facebook is like a lot more, you know, family oriented, and
Right.
I almost have a real personal relationship with about at least a few thousand, fans over there. But on LinkedIn, I'm a newbie over there, so someone
Oh
said go over, and then I saw your page, and so I went over and checked out. some of the people you were interviewing, and then your spirit just reached out and just grabbed me. So the next thing I know, we're going back and forth, and here we are. So it's such an honor that you have me on this multiple streaming platforms right now, which is very ingenious. And it's just honored. Usually I have to do them one at a time. So we're
Right.
reaching out to so many people at the same time. And so I'm very, very grateful that that I have you, that you have me on your show today. Very grateful.
Wow. Thank you, Don. Thank you. Well, I do have to give it up to my producers who are behind the scenes. Thanks to the StoopUp team. That's why I'm always, telling everyone to head on over to StoopUp.com. They are the genius behind me, Don. I mean, I got to say that you're right. For what we can do on these platforms, just connecting with one another, it is ingenious. And what I have to say about that too, I have found that all of us who have this rich history, especially what you're about to share with the audience, that we have this type of platform to reach the young, because this is where they are. They don't watch television anymore.
They
This
don't
is their
they don't go
entertainment.
outside, they don't watch television, they don't do any of that. Everything is through their phones.
Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, I started off like that when I was a kid, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I we pretty much need to mission to save the youth.
Yeah.
And we can do that through information. We're
Mhm.
at the age that information is at your hands and stuff. I didn't have that when I was growing up, but anything that you want to find out, you just tap into it, and there it is.
There it is.
A lot of it's not. Some of it's accurate, some of it is not. But
Mhm.
from my experiences, it's. I think that it's time for people maybe to come back to the real world, to reality.
Mhm.
Um, I don't really like audiobooks and ebooks or any of that. I like to hold a book in my hand, like to go to bed with that book,
Me too.
because I can absorb the information. I don't like someone reading it to me because my mind will wander. So I
Mhm.
don't know if that's for everyone. Some people like that, but then this
Ah,
digital age that we're in, I think we're very lazy, right? We're just we have to have somebody else motivate us. We have to have somebody else think for us, and that's dangerous if you're not thinking for yourself.
if you're not thinking
So
for yourself.
if
Ooh,
you're
well,
not thinking
this.
for yourself, yeah, someone's thinking for you. So the fact that I'm on the show right now, so we can touch on some of the issues as opposed to people who put the phones down. I think we really need to do that because we're losing touch with each other. We are.
Ooh,
We
well,
are long.
this is
We
what we're
are
going
long.
to get into. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to get into
Mhm.
all of this, Don. And you know, I, what I love about what we are doing is that if we catch them along this way, they can see some of our conversation about it, and kind of rethink why we're saying what we're saying.
Mhm.
They'll give us some time. Sometimes you have children, so do I, and sometimes in their 20s. My kids are in their 20s, so they're already making their way out in this world, and sometimes I only have 10 minutes. But I've caught my two sons, they'll sit and watch a show, just absorbing the information. And so we have an opportunity now, Don, having you on these platforms, so they will have an opportunity to sit and listen and watch. Sometimes they just want to listen, and you'll be surprised, you'll be shocked of what you can do on these platforms to get to them, to help them to understand the importance of, yes, put your phone down, and let's converse one on one. So let's talk about that in this, after our first break. Well,
Okay.
listen, everyone, I want to thank everyone who has already joined us. Cherish
Mhm.
Foster is in the house. Thank you just for saying hello.
Hi, Sharon.
Michael. Also, Michael Glover just popped in. Thank you
Uh
so much
oh. Hi,
uh,
Michael.
for joining us. And our Diamond is in the house. We call her our Diamond, Dawn,
Okay.
because she is our biggest
Uh,
fan, Miss Mary Goolsby.
She
on.
is.
Also, Orlando Page, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. He is
Mhm.
actually on the stoop with me. So I just want you guys to sit back and enjoy this show. So much information, so much rich history that we will be sharing through our esteemed guest, Don Silva. Well, you're listening and watching Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Have you been sluggish, bloated, overweight? You could be toxic from your environment, food, and medications. It's time for a clean start. Come by or book online today.
Prepared, crafted, and baked with love. A taste so delectable, like they were sent from heaven above. With every bite, a soothing warmth settles and abides. It feels like a hug on the inside. Kyrie's cookies explode with flavorful taste no one can duplicate. Joy permeates the soul with every bite, creating a tasty intimacy to savor, a merry delight. A sprinkle of joy, a pinch of happiness, a dash of faith, a cup of compassion and happiness are ingredients that give Kyrie's cookies bona fide uniqueness. Kyrie's cookies make my heart sing, packaged with a royal presentation fit for a king. Kyrie's cookies, a tasty treat that are simple, a pleasure to eat.
And welcome back to Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome, welcome, welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everyone who is watching us on Facebook. My goodness, we have a lot of people who watch us on Facebook. But did you know you can head on over to The Real Level Up? That's The Real Level Up on YouTube, Twitter, which is now X, also on LinkedIn, and one more place. We are now broadcasting live on Instagram. But I also want to let you guys know that we're broadcasting live on StoopUp. Now, let me tell you guys why StoopUp. StoopUp is going to be our exclusively live platform starting in January. You ask why? StoopUp is all about good news and good vibes. So I want you guys to head on over to StoopUp.com. Get your stoops ready. Be ready to be a part of our live studio audience, is what we're going to call it in January, right there on StoopUp.com. All right, let's get right back into our conversation. But before we do, Don, I don't know. I think you might be a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Popular with Level Up Nation. You done brought them all out. We got we got Bertrand McKinney. He's just popped on.
Okay.
And our other diamond in the house is Doris Walker. She's saying, "Hey, Grace."
Hey, Miss Doris. Hey, Miss Doris.
She also said, "Kim, welcome back." And yes, Miss Doris Walker, you popped in at the right time. Thank you, Vanessa Haygood, for joining us on YouTube.
That is a charlatan. That's a charlatan.
Okay, now Charlotte's in the house.
Charlotte's in the house.
Well, listen, for all you guys who are watching us and want to join in on the conversation, please choose either one of those platforms. Head on over to thereallevelup.com. That way we will be able to see all of your questions and comments in our comments section. Okay. So if you guys have any questions or comments, come on, join in on this conversation. We only have Miss Don Silva for an hour and 45 minutes. Okay. Well, listen, Miss Don,
Yes,
as you know, I am going to dig all the way back.
let's go. All right,
So
let's go.
let's lean in on this conversation right here. Don, I want to know, who were you when you were 10 years old? Lord.
You want to start at 10?
I want to start at 10. So
Angie, I was thinking about starting at 3, not for me, because I do remember when I was 2.5. I do remember I remember at 2.5, my father was in the Air Force, and we were flying from New York to Newfoundland in the middle of a blizzard. And I remember I was holding on to my brother's hand, and a big wind, a gust of wind blew me away from him, and it was this complete whiteout, right? And he separated me, and I remember I was surrounded by nothing but snow, and I was freezing cold, and I remember someone picking me up and running, right?
right.
And he returned me to a hysterical woman, and we went on up into the plane. And so when my mother strapped me into the seat of that plane, she said that I was a very unusual child because I wasn't afraid. And when she put the belt on, she said, I looked up at her and said, "Don't cry, Mom, you'll be all right."
You said, "Don't cry, Mom."
That's what I told my mother at 2.5. And I don't remember saying that to her, but I do remember the storm. I remember being lost and completely engulfed in this whiteout. I talk about that in my book as well. And then I'm an avid reader. I don't like ebooks or audio because I get lost. I have to have a book in my hand. I have to go to bed with that book, especially if I get lost in it, because it's soothing for me. It's peaceful. It's stress, relievers. So again, reading the music autobiographies, I always find something that I can identify with.
Gotcha.
So I can start with Miles Davis.
Oh, come on.
Okay, let's start with
The
Miles
late
Davis.
great. Come on.
At 3 years old, okay, when he was 3, and I read the first couple of sentences that he wrote about when he was 3. He remembers this blue flame, right? And then he says he didn't know if he was playing with the stove or turned it on, but when he got close to it, he realized how hot it was, and that he was afraid of that blue flame.
Right.
So very afraid of it. And he says, and he had that fear, but the fear of that blue flame strengthened him to move forward away from anything that he was afraid of. So that stuck in my head. And I haven't read this book in years, but that stuck in my head.
Wow.
And then we can fast forward to a fear part, the fear. When I was 7 years old, my mother returning home from the library, she was looking extremely distraught. I could tell something was deeply wrong with her.
Right.
And she looked at me and said out of the blue that 300 million African bones line the ocean floor.
What?
From the Mediterranean to the Caribbeans. From sea to shining sea. I had no idea what she was talking about, and talking about being afraid. I was like, how could that be possible? You're talking about human bones, 300 million human bones, African bones lining that ocean floor.
Wow.
I was afraid, but I didn't understand it. So she basically gave me a tablet.
Okay.
A real tablet. A tablet and a pencil. And she says, I want you to start writing these things down. And I did.
At 7?
At 7 years old. And I remember about maybe 3 or 4 days later, and I'm jumping ahead of myself. We didn't have like you said, the TV. The kids nowadays, they don't watch TV. Mm-hmm. They don't basically. They're just stuck and trapped with their phones or their tablets or their whatever. And she gave me that tablet, started writing down, but I'm getting ahead of myself. She told a story about, and I'm trying not to get emotional, but she told me a story about oh God, I don't even want to tell that story because I'm gonna get emotional.
It's okay.
The point is that we didn't have a TV set. We didn't, and we only had my mother's bedtime stories. And one night she started a story off by saying, whole indigenous nations melted away like snowballs in the sun.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Whole indigenous nations melted away like snowballs in the sun. But not all perished. Some escaped from the Trail of Tears and found refuge in the Great Smoky Mountains along the North Carolina-Tennessee border. Okay.
Wow.
So mine come from.
There you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of those survivors was named Red Stick.
Okay.
And he was born in those hills around between 1860, 1862. And he was named after his mother's tribe, the Tusagali Cherokees, and the Red Stick Creek, in a desperate attempt to save a dying race from extinction. Those are the names that he came up. His name was Red Stick Tusagali. And he remembered his early childhood. Like I'm talking about the early childhood of my mother coming home, talking about the 300 million African bones, and Miles Davis talking about a blue flame. But my great grandfather, his early childhood, he was spent hiding and running from the men who brutally murdered his entire family.
Mm.
So
Oh.
actually, in my book, The Funk Queen, that is the first chapter one. That's the first line you read in my book is whole indigenous nations melted away like snowballs in the sun.
Wow. Based on what she said, you remembered it.
Based on what my mother said in that tablet that I had in a journal that I kept since I was 7 years old. And
Wow.
I've been writing ever since.
Wow.
You
Listen,
kind of
you have
instilled in you your lineage and your heritage to take with you along your journey.
Well, I never thought that I was going to release a book on my own. I've always wanted to, thought about it, dreamed about it, hoped about it. I never really thought about being a journalist or a writer.
Mm-hmm.
That was I wanted to be in a sing in a famous group. I didn't even want to be famous. I just wanted to be a part of that group, right? And I would have, I just wanted to sing background or whatever I had to do. I just wanted to be on the team.
right.
But I kept writing everything down everywhere I went. Everything I did, I would write it down. So
Wow.
when
Wow.
my mother passed away in 2009, and I started doing the research on what she told me about the Red Stick Creek and the Tusagali Cherokees, I realized that my great grandfather, his lineage goes back 12,000 years. Of course, they don't teach any of that in any of the schools here, and then you're not going to learn any of that playing around with your phones and getting
Mm-hmm.
lost in all of these games that they're playing on their phones. And so there's no teachers or they don't teach you that in any schools at all.
Right.
Oh, no, they don't. They don't.
So what I basically wanted to do is capitalize off of my life and then my indigenous bloodline. And I also went over to, that was my mother's side. My great grandfather Red Stick was my maternal great grandfather.
Oh, I
On
see.
on the paternal side, then I have a European side. It was a French German slave owner, okay, from New Orleans, who had 62 children.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
I went back to the 15th century with that lineage, where he was an Acadian French that basically they got kicked out of France for, I mean, not France. They got kicked out of London for refusing to bend a knee to the Queen. And
Whoa. And that was
all these
real.
stories, he got kicked out. So there was 10,000 Acadians. They went over to Quebec and Nova Scotia, and in 1755 they migrated to New Orleans. And so that's my lineage on the other
Oh,
side. So
wow.
chapter one starts off with Red Stick Tusagali and all of the trials and tribulations of a red skinned indigenous living in America, and all the trials and tribulations they went through, because in between 1888 and 1890 had to be the most dangerous time for a living Native American, because they were hunting them and killing them and scalping them
Mm-hmm.
and stuffing them and putting them on display.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Those are the stories my mother told me. And then on the other side, with the slave owner great grandfather, who had 62 slaves, which he called indentured servants, I did the history on that as well. And we'll be here all day long just talking about chapter one and chapter two.
Yeah.
So I
And
put that in, yeah. So I put that in my,
all this is in this book, correct?
what I just said to you in a very short condensed version of it was in
Mm-hmm.
chapter one and chapter two, and then flowing over into chapter three. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. This is all in the book, ladies and gentlemen, that she actually gifted to me. I mean, listen, what I love what you're talking about, Don, is I didn't even realize this, that the enriched history that we have can go back centuries and centuries and centuries. And you're right, it's not being taught in our schools right now, but I know that there are a number of people that are trying to get that back into schools, because where we are with our children right now, if they don't know their history, they're bound to repeat it. There's a couple of people that are already chiming in on this conversation. Orlando Santa says, "Me, the same with Miles." That was back when you were talking about Miles Davis.
Right.
Also, Mary Gooseby said, "Love this. Continue to teach." So Steve Robertson said, "I remember Don. She was a kind and loving babysitter for me and my brother.
Aw,
Wait a
that's
minute.
so
So,
sweet.
Not that
so
Steve
proud of
Robertson.
that Steve. So you know who that Steve is, right?
I definitely do. All right,
Steve,
turn it down,
Steve,
Steve.
keep it coming. Keep it coming, Steve. We want to know more. Well, you are just wowing Miss Doris Walker, because this kind of teaching, we need to have this more and more, Don. And that's why when you and I were on the phone, the first time that you and I talked on the phone, we were on the phone for 2 hours. And ladies and gentlemen, she was giving me the rich history of herself, which is really the history of so many of us who live here in the United States. Orlando came back again and said, "Miles Davis, the Horn Man."
Yep, absolutely. What I do with this book?
Where's that book again? Where's
There
that
it
good?
is. You guys need
Yeah.
to get this book. This
Mhm.
is the most insightful, educational, academic history music that I've ever read. I love this. And
Really?
oftentimes I go and just to inspire myself all over again, I'll read his book. I've read this about 3-4 times. And so,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
this is the history. This is amazing. His life. And
Wow.
then he was born around the same time as my mother. So I think he was a year younger than her. So they came
Okay.
from the same era. And I could relate to so much that my mother had taught me, that then he was doing his through the trials and tribulations that he went through were very, very
Wow.
horrific is a good word. That he even survived, but he had his music, which was an outlet.
Okay.
That's why the music is so important now for the lost generation. We need the music because when I grew up, I had the music, and that was my outlet.
That was
Mhm.
y'all.
But yeah, so I say to myself, when we're talking about the beginning of my book, it's like, what does the annihilation of 600 years of Africans, what the remnants of what's left of them laying on the bottom of the ocean, 300 million. Do you know how many people? 300 million African bones that over a period of 600 years. And what does eradicated Africans and eradicated indigenous and a German French slave owner have to do with the Funk Queen? What? And I had so many companies because I shopped the deal. I wanted I wanted my book to be on a major scale so I can have the full backing of it. So instead of doing it myself independently, where you can reach just so many, I
Okay.
wanted to have the corporates to get behind it. But they, for some reason, because it was a music autobiography, they really weren't interested in my indigenous bloodline or my
Mm.
African heritage or my European lineage as well. They weren't
Mm.
interested. They didn't think anybody would be interested. Cancel culture changed all of that. I really believe, and
Mhm.
it's just the timing is perfect right now. 10 years ago, they didn't even want to hear it because it's embarrassing for a certain demographic of people, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they don't. They
Mm-hmm.
said they don't talk about it in schools now. They've never talked about it in schools. We've learned about everything except our own history,
Mm-hmm.
real history. They
History.
taught us what they wanted us to know. So
Well,
this book is very, very.
very rich in helping
I've
them
had
see
yeah,
that.
I've had some people say that it'll take you through every emotional gamut
There it is.
imaginable. And it does. It'll make you cry. Some people say, well, they read a part that broke their heart so much that they just couldn't finish reading it. I had another person say they were yelling at the book, screaming at the book, and I
Wow.
had people saying that applauding, like
At the book.
So I've had so many different reviews and hundreds, and it just touches my heart that I'm reaching out, empowering people because they can identify like I did
Identify.
with Miles Davis' book, where I can identify what he was saying one person, and I'm going to mention his name, Brian Morgan, that wrote all those songs for SWV.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
weak at
Yeah.
the knees. I can hardly breathe. I love that song. That's Brian Morgan read the book, and he said that the first 10 chapters of my book, he thought he was reading his own story.
Oh,
Wow. See,
wow.
So
that
that's how
right there.
powerful it is. But then, of course, corporate America wanted me to take that out. They wanted me to start my book when I was 17 years old and wipe away the whole first 17 years of my life when I went to a concert to see Sly and the Family Stone and Santana was opening up. And
Wow.
that's when I decided, yeah, I was going to be in the music industry. Then that's when I decided that's what I knew what I wanted to do when that concert was over. But I was brokenhearted because as much as I love Sly Stone and I love Santana too, this is my story. And how is it that I can put a book out talking about going to see Sly Stone? You know, how's that going to benefit me in my life, and how is a reader's going to understand who I am?
Right.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
Right.
that Sly story or that Santana story, that's not my story. I was a fan. I'm still a fan of both of those groups, but
Awesome. Awesome.
I needed people to understand how, as a Black American female growing up in this country, by the time I was in preschool at 4 years old, I was an expert on racial discrimination. And I don't
Wow.
know I don't know any other Black person or people in America that is not an expert on racial discrimination by the time they're 3, 4, 5 years old.
Now, Miss
That's
No.
Dawn, Miss Dawn, you mentioned that your father was in the Air Force. Did you encounter a lot of racism with his travels of where he had to take his family?
actually we were treated better. We went to Newfoundland, we went to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Ramstein, Germany on an air base for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I've only experienced racism one time when there was this older German woman who tried to scrub the black from my face every time she saw me.
Oh, wow.
Literally, one time she got me, one time she's just scrubbing. It was painful. So whenever I saw her, I would run.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
Whoa.
the only discrimination that I in Germany. Yeah, was that one when I was about maybe 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But none. They treated us very well over there. And I did talk about a family of Germans that used to work for my father. My father used to he was a scientist. He used to refuel B-52 bombers with liquid oxygen, and he had about maybe 30 employees working for them. Most of them were German, and some American soldiers. And my father was the only naval Air Force officer, and he was in charge of that. So um, we became friends with a lot of their family, and I was treated very well in Germany. Now
Wow.
the worst discrimination, I'm sorry to say, was going to a segregated school in Fort Worth, Texas, when I was 9.
Mm-hmm.
That was the worst. We won't even.
Mm.
I had talked about that. I got a whole chapter called the hallway, and the
Oh.
hallway is the last place you wanted to be when you were going to a school in Dallas, Texas. It was Rosedale Park Elementary School. Of course, I'm still writing everything down with that mini tablets. In fact, I turned my tablet into journals. I still have all those journals, by the way.
Oh,
And I wrote the whole 2-year experience when my father was stationed in Dallas about going to a segregated school, which was a whole mind-altering situation because in California, where we were living, I was going to a predominantly white school. But in that predominantly white school, the racism was hidden. It wasn't on the surface. I was invisible. They basically didn't even talk to me, like I wasn't even there. So to go from being invisible to an all white school to standing in front of a classroom with all Black students, and you saw a sea of different shades of blackness staring back at me, I was scared to death.
oh, I
Whoa.
can imagine.
I went into great detail about my experiences going to that segregated school for 2 years. That was the most racism was subjected to from my own people.
We
So
got
it
a
doesn't.
question. We got a question for
Go
you
ahead.
now, Don. So,
Yeah.
because we're about to go to break, let me get this question in before we go to break. Did you ever talk with the legendary Sun Ra?
No,
No. Okay.
no. I would have loved to. I would have loved to. That's an interesting question. But
That
no.
I was in my mind. I was like, everybody doesn't know who Sun Ra is.
So talk
Yeah.
about
So
Sun Ra.
who
Yeah.
asked that? Who asked that question?
This was someone from the Stoop. So I'll get that name very soon. Who asked that question? Well, they're not okay. Well, the name is Artist Jim 114.
Okay, 114. I yeah, I remember. I think I have some albums still. I used to listen to Sun Ra. It's been a long time since I've even heard that name. That's an interesting question. Yeah, no, I would have loved to meet them, but I'm familiar with their music. They have an incredible band.
They do.
Wow.
They do.
Wow. Well, we got some people. Let me get some of their comments in as well. Well, you got or Orlando saying, Don, much love. You are one of the best. From
Orlando,
Mary, from Linda Sana.
from Italy.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Welcome from Italy.
Yeah, I know
Wow.
he was one of the first, the top 100 to buy a book from me. So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
him and his mother both, right?
Oh wow.
I think her name was Gia, and yeah, Orlando, or I don't want to mess her name up, but yeah, I know that they both sent me some pictures. People buy my book and they take pictures with the
Yes.
book. They send them back to me, and Orlando and his mother actually purchased the book, and they both took pictures. Not only Orlando did he not only purchase my book, he's got a drawing in the book. Do I have time to find it?
Wow.
It's in the beginning. Let me find it real fast. Yeah, he did a drawing for me. Here it is. Orlando, there you go. This is his drawing. You see this? Let me go this way.
Oh wow.
That's his drawing.
That's his
That
drawing.
is really good.
That is, oh my goodness. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
he's phenomenal.
Oh wow.
There you are. Yeah. So when he sent that to me, I just asked him to send me a high definition copy
said-
of it, and went in my
He said
book.
Tina is his mother's name. Tina.
What's his name?
Tina.
His mother's name is Tina.
Tina. Okay, I'm messed up. Sorry. Please ask your mom to forgive me. That's what I say for people all around the world, for the funk, all around. I have a personal relationship with quite a few, and
That's
the fact is
amazing.
that yeah. So I definitely know Orlando from Italy. I sure do.
Oh my God.
Tristi, Italy.
Wow. Well, welcome,
Absolutely.
Orlando. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
in. Also, Kimberly Greer wants to say good afternoon. Chili Broussard says good afternoon to you, Kim.
That's
And
my cousin.
I
We got a lot of Charlotte people calling in. Writing in.
also David Rossman is giving you guys much love.
David
I've got,
Ross from
yep.
Vancouver,
Are you from Vancouver?
Canada?
Yeah. Well, he didn't say where he was coming from, but
Yeah, I think that's from Canada. Yeah.
awesome.
Hi.
Awesome. Charlotte, Charmaine Mollette, that's a longtime friend of mine. Thank you for joining in. Your cousin is saying, erase our culture, erase our identity, erasing our power, taking away our DEI from schools gives way to leasing, an ability to educate and empower those who show. Empower those that show be the carriers of our culture.
Who said that?
Who is that?
This Broussard.
Oh, she knows. She works at Winston-Salem State University, so she's working with our up and coming millennials.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she's a counselor.
Okay, thank you for your comment,
Yes.
Ms. Broussard. Awesome. Also, Lester Howard is just saying hello to Kim. And also Raymond Webster, I love you, Auntie. You look good.
Is that the Raymond? Is that the Raymond Weber from the musician?
That's
from
Raymond. Yep, Raymond Weber. I love you, Auntie.
Raymond that works with oh Lord help me. Harry Mace. Lord Jesus Brain.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to think on it.
Frankie Beverly and
Frankie Beverly Mays. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you time to think on that.
What's up-
Well,
what's
listen,
up,
guys,
Kazan?
we gotta take our break. When we come back, we're gonna have more conversation with Don Silva. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Don't tell me, do you feel that? Hey, don't tell me, do you feel that?
Hey, yo, are you sick of all these social media platforms not allowing your content and your creativity to come to the forefront? If you're ready for a game-changing online experience, let me introduce you to StoopUp, the digital neighborhood that's shaking up social media. Hey, no more bots, no more fake accounts, and definitely no data suppression. At StoopUp, we're all about boosting your voice, celebrating creativity, and building dope connections. It's where family-friendly and positivity unite in style. Hey, yo, so we're calling all community leaders, artists, entrepreneurs, and content creators. Get ready to cash in on your videos, streams, autocasts, photos, and your thoughts. On StoopUp, you become a creative partner and monetize with just one supporter and a fully loaded Stoop. Don't miss out. Log on today at www.stoopup.com and join the digital neighborhood for free and let's supercharge your creativity. StoopUp, be the good news.
Don't tell me, do you feel that?
Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you tried, things just still go wrong?
Many times.
What do you do?
I let go and let God.
All I'm asking from you is to bump up our credit limit to where it was.
It's declined.
We're experiencing some financial hardships at the moment.
You have 6 days to make payment.
I can't believe this is happening.
You know, I never asked you to pray with me.
It's you and me. We got this. God wants to help you, Peter.
Excuse me?
But you're not letting him in.
I did once. Last time we spoke, you took a man away from me I loved dearly. From that day, I swore to take matters into my own hands. But now I don't know what to do.
I know that you don't believe, but I will pray for you.
I love you so much.
Copy mo.
It was a miracle. You believe in miracles?
Listen, if you need me, you call me. All of the angels in heaven are rejoicing. You gotta know that everything is gonna be okay.
Join us next week as we share what's moving forward in 2024. With me and Mr. Scribe, join us. And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everyone who is watching us on Facebook. We have a lot of people watching us on Facebook. But did you know you can head on over to The Real Level Up? That's The Real Level Up on YouTube, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and also on LinkedIn. But I want to let you guys know that you can also watch us live on StoopUp. Why you say on StoopUp? StoopUp is going to be our exclusively live platform starting in January of 2024. As you guys saw on the commercial that we just ran, StoopUp is a way where we can share all of our good news without data suppression. What I love about this platform also is that you will find everyone that's on there are real people. There are no duplicated fake accounts. Also, we are finding ways that we can monetize all of our content. So each and every time that we come on, guys, we're going to ask you to donate. Donate to this cause, you guys. This is the first time I'm ever asking people to, to have a stake in what we are doing here at Level Up. If you guys are really getting into these conversations that we are having, then give us some of your support. Tell a friend to tell another friend to join in on the conversation as we move into 2024. These conversations, as we said in our previous segments, are rich. And they are rich because we are missing out on speaking to one another one on one. So while we have Don Silva in the studio, in our virtual studio, you guys continue to join in on the conversations. And how do you do that? Wherever you are on any of these platforms, type in your questions and comments in the comment section. So we have a couple of people, Don, that have already typed in some of their questions and comments. One being from David Rossman. He's saying, hi, I am new to Westminster, Canada, and I am loving this interview. Well, listen, David, here's the difference. It's not an interview because you are typing in your questions and comments. You're joining in on the conversation that we're having with Don. So this is an opportunity that each and every one of us who are watching, we're inviting you to join in and give us, some of your feedback, give us some of your insight, especially those that really know Don. We want to know some more. We want to know it from you guys.
Well, I want to say thank you to David, and I know you weren't feeling well, and see, I'm like what they call me, the funk psychiatrist. But they are people, sidebar they all the time, and I internalize if someone's not feeling well, and I read on Facebook that he wasn't feeling that great. So I hope you're feeling better, David, and thank you for supporting me. It's truly an honor. It is.
Wow. Well, Don, I am very, very curious how you did start your music career. Starting at 17, I've seen and heard a lot of people who have done well in their career, such as yourself. But I've seen a lot where they said all it took was for them to experience a concert or have a word with someone who's been in the industry. My husband is in the industry as well, and I hear a lot of his stories of being around some of the greats that have done well in the industry. So Don, is that really your story as well? Just make it towards you?
Yeah, I was blessed. I wouldn't say lucky because it's the divine order of things. I was blessed. I went to that concert at the Memorial Auditorium here in Sacramento again to see Sly, and I was mesmerized by the power. And Sly, of course, is the innovator, and he didn't just change the sound of black music or R&B music. He changed the sound and the look of modern music. Period.
He changed it all.
He changed it all. He's the pioneer.
Yes.
He changed the look, the sound. I mean, the first group to integrate his band with black and white and females. He had some powerful females.
Got you.
Cynthia Robinson was one, and she, God bless her soul, was my best friend.
Okay.
And trumpet player, and then Rose, his sister Rose, who played organ, and then his other sister Vieta, who also played keyboards, and then his brother Freddie, and then he had an Italian guy named Jerry Martini and another Italian guy named Gregorico on the in this band, and these guys are the most powerful musicians I've ever seen, and I was just blown away.
Wow.
Decided that right then and there when I went to that concert that's what I was going to do. And I forgot that he had a violin player, because there's always a violin can find their equation in that funky recipe as well too. A violin.
Is there something?
They have a white violin player. I don't remember his name, but they were just phenomenal. So fast forward to a friend of mine who was a local drummer. His name was Michael Samuels. God bless his soul as well.
Okay.
He said that Sly was putting together a new group. He was doing new songs and he needed some singers.
Okay.
So he asked me, did I want to meet him? I was like, seriously? What? So I said, yeah. So we drove up to the record plant, which is in a city, a little incredible city by the sea called Sausalito, California, where they had the one of the greatest studios I ever worked in, the record plant. We went there and they were in the middle of a session. I remember Sly's sister had a group called Little Sister, and we were. How do I tell this story? When I walked into the studio, they had this. The studio was made like a gladiator arena. Everything was in the round, and and you had to step down. Almost walked in there and tripped because my eyes were dark. I almost fell down, fell in there, fell to the bottom of the crypt. Right. So I told me sit down over there. So I sat down, and as my eyes adjusted, I saw up. As you look up, they had a microphone hanging from the ceiling, and 3 girls were sitting around this microphone, and they were singing a song called Crossword Puzzle. And Sly's sister Vet, she was hoarse, and Sly kept, well, I didn't know it was Sly. I just heard this voice in the darkness saying, "I want top notes on the track." Vet.
Okay.
And she kept saying, "I'm Sylvester." She said, "Sylvester, I'm hoarse." And so my friend sitting next to me, Michael, said, "Sly, Don can hit those top notes."
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
I looked at him like he was out of his mind. I was like, "What?
Who are you talking to?"
But you volunteered me by services. And so I heard Sly say, "Yeah, so what you waiting for?" I was like, "Me?" He said, "Yeah, you." So, I could barely stand up. My legs were shaking all bad. So I walked up the few steps, up that arena, and I walked over to the microphone, and I think I might have been a mile away from the girls, and they were all looking at me. I had not an idea what I was supposed to do. One of the girls was glaring at me like, "Really?" One of them said, "You got to stand closer to the microphone than that."
Oh no.
So, and then Sly's sister said, "Have you ever sang in the studio before?" I was like, "No." So she said, somebody said, "Go get her a headphone," right? So they put the headphone on me, and she said, "You want to?" She said, I mean, I wasn't even talking. I was so petrified. And so she says, "Have you ever?" I didn't say no. She says, "Have you ever sang in the studio before?" And I shook my head. And she said, "Can you talk?" I said, "Yeah, I can talk." So anyway, she sang the part down, and I was like, "That's it. That's the part." Of course, I had been taking classical music in high school and singing in church. And so, I mean, I was prepared, and I didn't even know I was prepared. I didn't know how to sing in the studio.
Right.
I didn't know how to sing. I didn't know how to sing in the studio. Or did I know how to sing with a group or to blend? And so when the part came up and Sly told the engineer to roll the track, and I sang that part, Angee, Kim, like my life depended on it. I stuck them notes. But then I realized I was louder than everybody else. I did. And so
wow.
Her name was Tiny. I never forget Tiny from Little Sister. Tiny said, told me to take the headphone and put it behind the back of my ear. Because I believe that I might have stuck the notes, but I might have been a little under the note in between the notes. I was a little flat. Because I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't hear.
Oh, because you couldn't hear. Yeah.
No, I couldn't hear. I mean, like I said, I didn't know how to sing in the studio. So so I was a little under the note. So she said, "Take a headphone off and then you can hear yourself." And then she said, "In order to sound like one chord, you have to blend." She says, "If you hear yourself louder than everybody else, that's because you are." Then I heard Sly say, "What is this, vocal lessons?" Wow. We can just get this done today. So about maybe 10, 15 minutes later, I was done, girl. And they blended my voice in with that song, and I was sitting there beaming like, I could have floated out of that arena to the top, right? I was just in heaven. And then Sly came up to me shortly after that, and he said, "Welcome to Sly and the Family Stone."
Wow, you are kidding me.
Yeah. No, I'm not. That's how I got that gig.
Wow.
I love hearing that. I love hearing.
Simple as that. Now that's divine order of things. That's a blessing. That wasn't a coincidence. That was a blessing.
Wow. There's a lot of people that are watching this show. I can tell how people are coming in. Thank you, Nancy Davis, for saying happy holidays. Man, you know what? As I was listening to you, Don, how descriptive you were of that moment. And that's how that moment was like a turning point in your life. Like it just,
I remember like it was yesterday, and it didn't hurt that I actually went home and got the tablet out, and I wrote down not just the experience of it all, but I wrote down the time of day, the weather, the temperature that was in the room, the color of all of the beautiful Persian pillows that it had going all the way around in that arena, what the board looked like. They had a knee board is what it was. I didn't know what it was. I just saw something that looked like a big flat board with lights blinking off and on, and I thought it looked like a flat Christmas tree blinking off and on. That's what I thought, but it was a recording board, and the sound of the speakers, rewinding forward and rewinding backwards, and then the engineer mixing in the vocals and playing the song over and over and over. So I wrote down every aspect of it in terms, even the mosquito that went buzzing past me. That's what I, it's like, how are you going to remember a mosquito that happened 4 years ago, right? But it's just like I wrote it all down, every aspect of it, so how long it took to get there, how many miles it was, how anxious I was the whole time I was there.
Miss Dawn, I consider that one of the greatest gifts that your mom could have given you, because it sounds like it helped you get through your journey in life. So did you do that same thing to your kids?
To my son, yeah, I did. I did the same thing, and then it's amazing, since we're talking about Sly Stone. He dropped a book. Here's another book that I'm reading this now.
Oh wow!
Okay, so this is.
I remember that pose. That was on one of his albums, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was.
I remember.
It was on an album. I Get High on You, I think it was.
Yeah, that was his first album.
That was his debut album. He's had. He had a truckload of number one hits. He was this guy right here was the number one artist. Sly and the Family Stone was the number one group in the world. So when I got there, just as naive as I was, because Sly saw something in me that I didn't see in my own self. But when I got there, these guys were at the top of the charts. They were like I said, the biggest group in the world. And I'm so honored that I got this book and I started reading it, of course, from page one. I don't filter all the way through like some people do when they get their books. And some of the stuff that Sly wrote in his book are, some of the same stories he shared in his book are in my book.
Oh, wow.
I was so surprised. He talked about that same recording studio session. So maybe I made a impact on him for the first time he met me too. But he talked about in his book how he hired me after the first hour, and how fast I nailed the part, and how impressed he was with me.
Wow.
He wrote that in that book that just dropped a couple of months ago. So talking about being completely honored, because he collaborates what I write in my book. And he also talked about my son, again, that you mentioned, my son passing the stories on. Sly was teaching my son how to play drums.
Oh.
And Sly talked about that story, teaching my son how to play drums, in his book as well.
Wow.
So it's just wonderful to know that I had a impact on his life, and he said so many loving and warm things about me in his book until I won't start crying again. I told y'all yesterday.
Donna, let the tears flow. There's tears of spring.
So yeah, it's such an honor that I spent 4 full years with Sly and the Family Stone. I did. And
wow.
It was one of my most cherished times in my life.
Well, Donna Taylor is saying Don, cuz has a kind of voice, that's extremely unique and soulful. Thank you, Donna.
Tell Donna Taylor, my cousin that is in the DNA. She's the one. I tell Donna Taylor, I didn't tell her that we might have a gig coming up soon. So.
Donna.
That's one of my 6 powerful women. Empowering women. Oh my God, that's what we're doing today. And while we're talking about my cousin Donna Taylor and Valerie Pinkston and Jackie Simley Stevens and Gail Modrow and Jeanette Washington Perkins, those are my 6 Sister Soldier Funk Queen warriors. Okay, we've been together singing for about 25 years. Wow. And it's hard for females to get together, to stay together. Women.
It is.
Women have a tendency to have some have more needs than others. It's a good word to put it.
That's good. I'm gonna use that, Don.
Okay, yeah, some do. And so we have a tendency not to get along with each other. But those 6 women have been my rock, for all these years. I can't do a show without them. If they can't bring all 6 of the women, then we're not doing it, right?
Wow.
It's like
everybody can't say that.
If everybody can't eat, if we all don't eat, then nobody eats, okay?
That's
powerful.
Thank you, Donna Taylor. I love you so much. That's my heart. And it's such an honor that we've been together all this time working, still working together with the Brides of Funkenstein.
Wow. Well, thank you for joining in, Donna. I'm sure there's some other ladies that are watching that are part of this group that you're talking about. So you guys chime in, please. Head on over to The Real Level Up so we can see your comments. The Real Level Up on YouTube, Twitter, which is now X, also on Instagram, YouTube, and of course Facebook. But I also want to encourage each and every one of you guys to head on over to StoopUp.com. StoopUp.com is where we're going to go exclusively live next year, starting in January. You guys go ahead and get your stoops ready to go, because guess what? We got to bring her back. I know I was going to say I was going to do this in the third part, but man, Don, you have such a rich background that I know we're not going to be able to. Even Fanita is saying this woman is a true storyteller, and when it gets real good to her, she sings the story effortlessly.
So this is going to be a 3-part. This is going to be 3 parts.
3 parts. Well, yeah, I know there's not enough time, I guess, because actually going from, we just got to Sly and it took us an hour to get there. So, or what time? Yeah, hour and 15 minutes to get to just to the Sly Stone part in the.
We only got one more segment. I told you this is going to go. This is going to go so far.
I understand. So that's someone said it was a guy named, God, I'm horrible with names. I can remember their faces and their book numbers more than them, but there's this guy, book number 889, a guy out of San Francisco who took a picture and I actually went to his house. He lived in this haunted house. I think it's haunted. And it's a house was built back in 1800s. And I just happened to go and Linda Scheider. Let's talk about Linda Scheider. Linda Scheider will probably be in the next episode. That's my sister who's
come on now.
From the P-Funk organization. She was doing an interview in San Francisco. Ace Allen. I hope Ace Allen is listening.
Come on, Ace, if you're listening.
Yeah, so I went to drop her off at this B&B, and it was a spooky little house that had about 30 bedrooms in it, and they turned it into a B&B, and it was really spooky in there. And this guy's talking to me, and so I told him I wrote a book, and I had a couple of books in the car, so he just bought one. He saw it. I just handed it to him. He goes, "Oh my God, I got to have this." So he was book number 889, and he read the book, and he sent me an email and said that the book was like a series of #1 bestsellers. A series.
Wow.
So I know that book has that's why I saw you so big. That big. That book is.
I'm trying.
Yes, it's a 7-pound coffee table book with 524 pages. 300 of those pages are pictures, photos. There's a story about how I even got the photos, classic funk photos.
Wow.
But the funk is the Rolls Royce of the music industry. So if you dare to write a book and put the word funk on the cover, then the quality of it has to be exceptional, all the way down to the paper it was written on. And so, of course, that book cost me a fortune. I had an investor that loaned me the money to get it because he believed in it. He read the book before it even went to print, and he was just like, "Oh my God, this is phenomenal." So I was a little nervous that I wasn't going to make the quota and make the money back, but I did. I gave him back his money.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, this was scary before. I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to pay $100 for a book." I never paid $99.95 for a book, but for this book, and that's the reason why I went self-published, and I didn't go to Amazon because Amazon wanted to sell it for twice the amount of money. And then they wanted to take a big chunk out of it, which I wouldn't have been able to pay back the investor. So that's why I self-published. And other reasons why I self-published it too, because they didn't want me to talk about my indigenous bloodline again and the Africans, eradications of the Africans, and they didn't want me to talk about my German French slave owner. They didn't want me to talk about any of that. My German French great grandfather slave owner, not mine. But I thought that was important and that it needed to be in the story, and then someone needed to talk about it. I've read truckloads of autobiographies, and I've never, it's always the publishing companies just chop it down and they take the heart out. They just chop it down, nothing. And
I think because they don't want to be accountable. They don't want to be reminded.
Well, that's a problem. If you don't, that you want us to you want us to be reminded about other atrocities that happened in history. Quite a bit, all the time.
Never hours.
All the time. They don't remind you, as all the time about all the other atrocities. They're just now starting to talk about the atrocities that the indigenous suffered in this country, but they've never said anything. You ever, ladies? I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard about anybody talking about 300 million African bones being on the bottom of the ocean?
Never, ever.
Ever?
Never, ever.
Ever. Till this day?
To this day.
So can you imagine hearing that when you're 7 years old?
Wow. I could not.
But I think that goes with my theory. I've always had a theory that hurricanes follow the slave routes. And I've always had this theory that it's the spirits of the slaves that bring those hurricanes and they destroy those areas of where they were bought and sold.
Now there's a book.
There's a book.
That's always been my theory. So your mother providing that information to me just confirms what I've always suspected.
That's deep. And then that is an amazing theory. But then the fact is that we're talking about it today. We have the means. There's no excuse anymore for not for knowledge. Knowledge is power. There is absolutely no excuse anymore.
I was going to say something to that, Don, that actually where they think that the lack of knowledge is going to divide us, it actually brings us together, because there's so many young people now. It doesn't matter the color, especially with these young people. I'm so glad that we are having this really a history lesson is what you're giving us. You're giving us such a rich history lesson that I will allow anyone to listen to this, because it brings us together. When you talk about the truth, when truth is being brought out, it brings people together. And I'm not standing back, wondering, what are you trying to hide from me? Because the history is what it is. But if we know about the history, bringing all of us together, then what can we do moving forward? If we don't know the history, we're bound to repeat it. That statement is true.
Exactly.
So if we don't talk about it, thank you, Mary Gooseby said knowledge is power.
Yes, it is.
Fanita was saying to you, Kim, that accountability, that part. Thank you for saying it.
But then they said, how do we get their attention?
Ooh.
So how do we get their attention, and what must we do? We have to do something or say something that is completely shocking, like and for them, then they want to read it, like, oh my God, what happened? So because it's all funk music, it's spiritual, it's gospel, rhythm, rock, and rhyme. It's in time, on time, timeless. And so what I did is I put, that's why I put the Funk Queen on the front of the book. And then Sly Stone said something to me years ago, like the Underground Railroad to the Funk. What does that have to do with eradicating indigenous and Africans? And what does that have to do with anything? It's all connected. It's all connected. It's a divine order of things. It's all connected through our music, through the spirit of the gospel music. And the funk, to me, is the Rolls Royce of the music industry. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's just interesting is a better word, that corporates want to do everything they can to systematically eliminate that genre. It's not, they have a problem with the word funk. Of course, back when I was a kid, that was a bad word, funk. But it just seemed like with James Brown is another one of my idols. They didn't call James Brown the godfather of funk. They called him the godfather of
soul.
Okay.
Wow.
And he was about as funky as funk can be.
He was.
All right, hang on, guys. We got to go ahead and take our last break of this show. What I want to do is let you guys know that we have one more segment with Don Silva. So if you want to get your questions and comments in, be sure that you are locked and loaded, ready to do that on this next segment. We are talking to Don Silva. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
What you want, baby, I got what you need. You know I got it. All I'm asking, all the respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you come home, darling, I'm every woman. It's all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z. So
And join us this Tuesday night for a special broadcast with me and Mr. Scribe as we looking back, moving forward, leveling up in 2024. And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey,
Angee,
everyone. Yes.
It's not beautiful here. It is pouring down rain. It is just awful and ugly.
I'm so sorry.
And the Falcons lost.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank
double boo-hoo. Oh, no.
Well, listen, anyone who is watching us on Facebook, you can head on over to our other platforms, which is YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter, now on Instagram. But I also want to encourage you to head on over to StoopUp.com. StoopUp.com. Why StoopUp.com? Because we will be going live exclusively on that platform. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this will be our final time of speaking with Ms. Silva. So I want you guys to be sure you get in your questions and comments in the comment section on any of those platforms. So Don, I want to go back to, there was one comment from Orlando Page. I hadn't had a chance to get his comment in. He has a lot of history in the music business as well. And he said, I love when you said that you were already being prepared for that moment. A lot of times we miss that or give up too soon before the true moment happens.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that he brought that up. And that's another reason why I wrote this book is that I think if I would have read my book before I went into the music industry, I may have, I don't know, you don't get do-overs in life, but I don't know if I would have went into the music industry. Basically because the highs are so high, but the lows are even lower.
Really low. Yeah.
And there's no in between there. I remember my mom saying she wasn't happy about me going to the music industry at all. She was saying stuff like Satan's business, ain't no child of mine being in there. And so of course, I was like, you're young and you want to follow your heart and your dreams, and you don't really realize that it's a very dark business. It really is. And if you're not prepared, you're going to be eaten up out there. You will. They will take advantage of you. They'll take everything you have, and then by the time you've gotten old, you've outlived your usefulness, and then they've taken everything from you, and then it can leave you very broken, or it can make you stronger. And for me, I was the latter. It made me stronger. So I talked about so many different things in this book. I know we don't have time to talk about it, but the funk, we're getting back. The second half is the funk, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about another book, and well, there's two. I think this one came out first, which was this guy right here, Ricky Vincent.
Okay.
The funk. Okay.
Wow.
He's he's a professor over there at University of Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the first funk books I wrote. I read, and I'm actually in this book as well. And he talked about the groups that I work with, and he called it the music, the people and the rhythm of the one. Now, the question, ask yourself, what is the one?
What is the one?
Everyone always has their own interpretation of what the one is. It's the downbeat. It's the one. It's like the foot. It's the glue that holds the funk together. That's the one.
Gotcha.
Personally, you know what my mother said the one was?
What?
My mother said that the one is man is the head, female is the body. The head cannot do anything without the body, and the body can't do anything without the man. They are equal, but one does one does not have the authority over each other. The one is the divine order of things, reproductive. Yes. The man, again, let me mention that again. Man is the head, woman is the body. and neither has authority over each
Over
other.
the other.
They are equal.
That's why they had to become one, Miss Dawn.
Why they have to become one.
Yes.
It is. I was waiting for y'all to say. That's why I said it
Yes.
is the divine order of things. That is the one. Now, when you take that one and you put that one with the most funkiest grooves ever imaginable to a beat that's going to reach out and snatch you from your heart, because it is spiritual, and that's why the funk is such a powerful market. Are you serious? I thought my phone was not supposed to ring.
It's okay.
That's my brother Wayne. Which when I just said that, him and I wrote a lot of the songs together on one of my albums. Blah, blah.
Really?
Yeah, my brother Wayne. So he knows I can't answer him right now unless he wants to be on the.
Tell him next time.
But that's what the one is. The one. Remember that. I'm going to say it again. Man is the head.
Mm-hmm.
Woman, male, female. Man is the head. Woman is the body. The body cannot function without the head, and the head cannot function without the man. That's the one. Neither has authority over each other. And if you try to do anything that is not on the one, it's going to fail before it even starts.
Wow.
That's the one.
On the one.
And then
I remember there were a lot of music. I mean, there were a lot of songs, written by on the one.
I have a song that I dropped on Spotify on December 8th called "As Long as It's on the One."
Oh yes,
yes. Most of us think about it's the downbeat, it's music, it's the glue that holds the rhythm tracks together. I guess the one, the beat, the rhythm section, the bass, drums, keyboards, rhythm guitar, all on the one. It's all driving at the same time. Wow. I put not only if it's just the music, but it's also the spiritual aspect of it too, as man, woman, the one, music.
The one. Golly.
That's what it is.
You have another comment that came in. Kurt Whiting. Are you
okay? No.
Proud of you, Sister Dawn. An inspiration for West End OP. And Franklin, just like your mom.
Who said? Read that again. What did you just say?
This is Kurt Whiting. Kurt Whiting.
Okay.
Proud of you, Sister Dawn. An inspiration for the West End OP and Franklin. I'm sorry, I said Franklin. Franklin, just like your mom.
Oh wow! Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Dawn, what I wanted you to really get right into is what is going on with you now. I remember when you and I had talked, you had talked about that there was a city that honored you based on you saying the Underground Railroad.
Well, yeah, you brought that up too. I thought we were going to talk about that next time, but okay, yeah, the city of Folsom, California.
Folsom, California,
which used to be, well, we won't get into all of that today, but yeah, Folsom, California. I don't know if there are a lot of. What was that? Whoa, Folsom, California. Somebody from Folsom, California, but anyway,
right?
I don't know. A lot of people. What was I lost my train of thought. The Folsom, California. Oh, a lot of people do not know that the underground. I guess the government made September is Underground Railroad Month, with what they're basically honoring Harriet Tubman. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
That in the United States now September is Underground Railroad Month. So because I used the subtitle on my book, and let me put it right here, the Underground Railroad to the Funk. You see that where it says the Underground Railroad to the Funk?
Yes, I do.
Title. They needed to give the families, survivors of 600 Black families that actually came over on the Underground Railroad, and they settled up in the hills of Folsom, California, and they were all farmers up there, and they were digging around and they found gold, and that was in 1840, and then they were eliminated. All 600 family, all of them gone, eliminated, gone. And they took the land, they took their gold, they took everything, and they renamed the city. So they wanted to pay homage, or and do restitution for do restitution for the fallen Africans, or ones that came over on the Underground Railroad, and give out a proclamation. And because I had put that subtitle on my book, they chose me to give it to me. And so I thought that was such a high honor. So the city council of Folsom invited me and another guy named Michael Harris, who's a historian for Folsom. Both of us together, we went over there and we received that proclamation. And just so happened that day, divine order of things, it just so happened the librarian who's on the city council got my book, and he put the book in his library. Now I have a Dewey Decimal Number, and that book is in a public library in 3 California counties. And so because I wrote a book about, and I put in I came up with a different category, a literary category that did not exist before this book.
Wow.
And it's the history of funk rock. That category, that doesn't exist. Yeah, the history of funk rock don't exist. Music-wise, literary-wise, at all, period. There's no category for funk rock. Well, there is now. And so what I did is, not only did my book go into the public library, and because with a Dewey Decimal Number, and it's listed under funk rock, they put me on the shelves with, oh my gosh, Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Bruce Springsteen.
Really?
Oh,
Carly
those are
Simon,
big names.
And Justin Timberlake, right? All the new books, all the books that came out this year. Let me say it again. They put the Funk Queen, this big old giant book, and of course all the other books like Pale are all dwarfed. It's all on the shelf. But Bruce Springsteen, John Lennon, Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Carly Simon, Justin Timberlake, and the Rolling Stones new book that came out. The Funk Queen is sandwiched in right between them, which I thought was a little odd because Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson are not rock, they're country, but they're on that shelf.
Oh, because Dolly's doing her rock and roll album now. That's about to be released.
And she just dropped the book, so they put the book in the rock category.
Oh wow!
Because there's no history for funk rock. My book didn't go into the R&B category next to Rick James' book, and I saw some other black artist books. It didn't go there. It went smack dab between John Lennon is on this side and Bruce Springsteen's on the other, and the Funk Queen, like I said, towers over them smack dab in the middle.
Wow.
So with that Dewey Decimal Number, and because I got the public libraries endorsed it, now I can put that in any public library in the United States because I have a Dewey Decimal Number. Here comes the universities. And so Yonkers in Toronto, Canada was the first one to put it in their university. Michigan University put one in maybe a month or so ago. And then the UC system in California put it in their database. So UC Irvine, under the guidance and I love her dearly, Dr. Dawn Norfleet, who is a professor and scholar that teaches music at UC Irvine, has invited the women of the one. Here goes that, the women of the one, on a panel for my my second author talk panel talking about the book and the exploitations and the music industry all together. Everything that I wrote in the book. There's a panel of 4 women that are going to be on there on March the 9th, 2024. I'll be doing the University of Irvine. My first professional lecture. My second was done at Underground Books here as you see the coincidence here?
Come on now.
There's a bookstore here in Sacramento called Underground Books, right?
Oh.
And Underground Books happens to be one of the top 10 Black-owned bookstores in America. I walked into the store with my book and said, "Can you guys do a consignment deal, or you guys?" And she looked at it and she goes, "Oh my God!" And a week later, that book was in that store.
Wow.
And I am now one of their top sellers over there. Probably I moved maybe close to 50 books over there.
Wow. That's incredible.
And the numbers that come under, it's on the shelf next to LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, and then above me, of course, is Barack Obama, and on the side of Barack Obama is Michelle Obama's book, and right underneath them is the Funk Queen.
There it
And
is.
so
Right here.
I've been selling out that. I mean, I keep going in there and restocking my book in at Underground Books since what, April of 2023.
Wow.
And
Oh,
so, and what is so amazing, you know, books, when books come out, they're on the social network for about maybe a couple of months, 6 weeks, couple of months, and then they just
yes.
fade.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As of January 2nd, which is my birthday, when I did the pre-sales, right? The book actually dropped officially March 2023, this year, March. It'll be a year when I first announced this book in 2 weeks. And the book is still on the front burners of most of the social networks.
Man.
People are still buying them. And I'm going to the post office. I used to go every single day with my team, and my team got tired. And so, you know, so I go 3 days a week now, and I personally go because I've got it under control. It took me 6 months to catch up with all the orders. It did.
Wow.
Because I have an independent publishing company. And you want to ask me real fast, Angee?
I love how you send it.
The reason why I self-published this book, you want to know why?
Yeah, why?
Because I had one person, not the publishing company, because they wanted to sign. It was one guy who said that because we're back with the African, indigenous, European lineage, he said that I was giving Black people a false sense of entitlement.
What?
That stamped on my brain like you would not believe. I said, really? So that's gave me the drive to actually put it out independently to prove him wrong. For some reason, he just didn't want it to come out. And that's the same thing I did with my music, because it's funk. You know, I had the same thing with the record company basically tell me that funk was dead and need to stay dead. Because you can't compete with something. It's too powerful. You can't compete with it.
I don't think funk will ever die. Because even if it's going to be sampled 100 times over and over and over and over, it'll never die.
Well, Kimberly, to give you an example of the funk, how it never died, like I said, I just did a Spotify, I mean, all of the streaming apps, and out of a company out of London just gave me a big marketing deal on a song that's 43 years old. But see, but I released that song on the one in the year of 2000. I called it All My Funky Friends. Where's that at? Let me see. I know we're about to hurry up. We're about to go.
No, you're fine. Take your time.
In Paris, France. There it is. Wait, can you see it? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That one's All My Funky Friends, right? I released that in 2000 in France. I got a license deal. Then I went to Holland, blah, blah. And they called me in France, they called me the Empress of Funk. Holland called me the ambassadorist, if that's such a word. I was the ambassador, the ambassadorist in Holland. And but before I even released those songs in 2000, they were already 20 years old. I wrote those. My brother and I and a few other guy named Henry Mayers, and we wrote those, and a guy named D. Levant. We wrote those songs like 20 years before they even dropped. So officially, they're 43 years old.
Timeless.
In time, on time, timeless.
Well,
that's the fun.
I think Grace is saying that you have made your own genre. Speaking in terms of your book, you know. And
yeah, I did. I came up with my own category for literary category. I also came up with the music category too. There's no history of funk rock in the music neither.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to Underground Books, and I'm telling those who actually want to write their own book and you're waiting around to get a publishing deal, well, they'll give you some money up in advance, and you'll never get any more after that. If you want to write your own book, it's like you're not saying that you can't. I know there's over 127 Black-owned bookstores in the United States.
How many?
127 Black-owned bookstores across America.
That's a low number.
That's how many we have. But I just imagine I was able to do what I've done so far with one, the Underground Books. And so I'm just saying, if you want to just take a chance and actually believe in yourself, then with me, it's a dream come true. And I just took a chance and I put it out, and it's doing exceptionally well, and I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it.
Wow, we got some more.
You can't stop what's ordained, Miss Dawn.
Their comments.
Divine order of things.
Yeah, divine order. Here's
Divine
here's what Fanita is saying. She said, "Forgive the poor grammar. Funk ain't going nowhere."
Fanita.
Fanita.
Is that Fanita Reeves?
Yes, Fanita Reeves.
Okay, cousin. No, it's not, sweetheart. No, it's not.
And Wendell Withers said, "Sure won't."
Funk is here to stay. So now, so my book, you guys, ladies, and I call you you are now my official funky friends, funk soldiers, sister soldiers. You are now officially.
I feel honored.
My book now is because I did talk about the things that I wanted to keep in the book. You know, it's now they're saying it's an academic masterpiece. And so that is such an honor that now that these universities, these people with
degrees,
scholars and degrees are actually calling it an academic masterpiece.
I think it should be considered as a part of African American studies in these universities.
Oh yeah, I actually put that as category. I put that in. I came up with a bunch of different categories, which we probably need about 30 minutes per category to talk about that as well in my book. You know, if I can pull up. I don't have my glasses.
We got another 10 minutes before we hit our announcement, ladies and gentlemen.
I actually used Afro-American music, which I don't even think there's a category. There might be a category for Afro-American music.
Sure.
African Indigenous European history. That's no category. That's an
Indigenous European history.
That's a different category too. So when I went to underground books, the point I was trying to make, so I'm getting old, I get forgetful. The underground books, once they scan the first 10 books, now that category exists. And that's why it's all connected. I said in the libraries and it's on the shelf.
Wow.
Because I created, because they scanned it. They scanned the barcode. All you need really is one. But after 10 books were scanned, now that category is now in the system. So if somebody wants to write a book, independent, or if there's a major company involved and they put this history of funk rock on there, now it exists. Now they can't say that they can't market it because there's no category. That's that's not basically accurate because now there is. Thanks to the funk.
Wow. Orlando Page has a question for you here. Which of your songs caught fire that you may not have thought it would?
Song called The Red Light District. That song is about the red light district in Amsterdam, Holland, and that was written by D. Levance again. Who D. Levance is a keyboard player for the Isley Brothers, or he was, I believe, yeah. And another lady named Val Young has writers on that as well. So Val Young and I were in Holland, in Amsterdam, Holland, and we were working with the Gap Band at that time, and we were hungry. It's about 2:00 in the morning. We were looking for something to eat, and somebody told us to go to the red light district because that's all that was open. And as we're walking down the street, we're looking in the windows and the windows of these beautiful women in the windows, and then we came up with a hook. They feel like funking around in your red light district. So we put it on music, and I remember that melody that we did so many years ago, and then I had a friend put the music to it, and it dropped, and that song was number 2, to answer your question, number 2 in Holland. Number 2. Not only was it number 2, I was signed to a license deal because of that song. And I headlined the North Sea Jazz Festival and a bunch of other shows over there because of that one song.
Because of one song.
Yeah.
Wow. And Finny is saying, I think she meant to say, Don Silva is a riot. Keep on telling your stories.
As long as I have breath in my body, I will keep passing it on.
Wow.
Keep
Wow. Listen,
on.
Don, you have been so amazing, and thank you so much for being, just open and honest about, first of all, about your life. One thing here at Level Up, that's what we look for. We're looking for people who are just willing to tell their stories, tell it open and honest, because literally that's how we're going to learn. That's how we all come together with our stories. And like I said, if we don't know our history, we're bound to repeat it. A lot of our history is, it's not worth repeating. So if we know it, then we know how to move forward in a good light, move forward in being collective, uh, inviting those who thought that we should be divided, but we can all become one when majority knows that one works. And I think we're at the time now, Don, that when we are speaking about our history, it gives us a little bit of power, um, um, a little bit of encouragement to know that, as you were saying, somebody picked up your book and read your book, and he said it sounded like you were writing his story.
Right.
Well, history is common to a lot of us, common to man. But if we keep pushing it aside and we don't tell it, then how will we know? How will we know how much more that we are connected? And that's among all races. God gave God. We are a part of a human race, and we're not a
Well, yeah,
part of just one. And so
absolutely,
when we
absolutely.
continue to tell our stories and have so many others to learn and glean from us, then they will see that there is power, as you said, in one.
And one, and then one thing I wanted to say as far as empowerment: if you remain silent, and say nothing, you become complicit. You remain silent, you allow the abusers to continue abusing. And then we as a people, it's time for us to take a stand, and we have to do it together. And that's why I always called it All My Funky Friends is the name of my first album, and then the second album I'm dropping, God willing, and I have a EP, extended play with 6 songs, is still standing for the funky folks. Still here, standing for the funky folks. And so I know that there was no way that I could do any of that alone. You got to have a team. So the way I see it is like, if you remain silent and allow the abuser to continue abusing, that's what he will continue doing.
Ooh, thank you for that lesson. And listen, I got another lesson from Fanita. Fanita said, "Nope, I mean Griot."
He said what?
Yeah, thank you for correcting me, Fanita. She said, "No, I meant Griot, meaning
Griot?
Agreeant.
Agreeant. I'm sorry.
Agreeant. Okay.
Okay, I just learned a new word. Thank you, guys.
Angee.
Okay, Fanita done went all of what, Ebonic or something. Is that what that is?
Hey, listen. I'll bring Fanita on. Like, Fanita, come on. You want to do something?
I love you, Fanita.
And that's Angee pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, Griot. Okay. All right. Listen. Thank you.
I was like, what is a griot?
Okay, agreeant.
Well, listen. When you're not as well read as Don Silva,
don't do that.
That's what happens. I love it, Don. I love.
What's that saying? What is that? Read, it ain't illegal yet.
Right.
Right.
Listen, well, I love how you presented more than one book to us also, Don. That helps us to understand the importance of, picking up a book. As you were saying, a lot of our children, they are too dependent on these devices. And when you don't, hold that book in your hand, I love how you said that, a few of your books, you took it to bed, you slept with it. That's where the power of understanding comes from, is reading. And so thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for giving us a total history lesson based on your life. It is rich. Don, don't stop.
And I forgot, and want to mention too that from Slidestone, I went to Parliament Funkadelic as well, right? I was with Parliament Funkadelic and the Brides of Funkestein. We cannot leave any of that out. There's a new book out too that just dropped a month or so ago. It's The Linear Notes. It's by Danny Badostrian, which is the keyboard player for Parliament Funkadelic. I'm waiting. Me and Amazon are going back and forth because I should have had my book for today to showcase, because I want to support him because he supported me as well, right? And that's what we have to do. We have to continue supporting each other. But he has a book out called The Authorized Lineage Album Notes, I guess, from Parliament Funkadelic from 1956 to 2023, and he just dropped that book. So that's available now on Amazon. So he got a real deal. So yeah, I'm happy.
Someone's got a real deal.
Someone did ask, where can they get your book? We got Doris Walker. She wanted to know where.
Right now, you only can get the book from DawnSilva.com. www.dawnsilva.com, and that's it. And probably in upcoming by the beginning of next year, Barnes and Nobles is probably going to be over there, because I can't keep up with it anymore. It's become too it's gotten bigger than me, this book.
Wow.
So Barnes and Noble is now on the table, so that's where you're going to be able to get it. You're going to be able to get it at Barnes and Noble next year.
Nice.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, Don, we would love to have you back on the show. Bring all your friends, okay? We'll figure out how to do it.
You let me know and I'll bring them all.
Angee, you can get me the book for Christmas.
You know what? She had already said that, Dawn. Maybe about 3 weeks ago. She's like, "Can I get this book for Christmas?"
Well, you better get it tonight, so you can get in on that Christmas rush, and I'll put my folks to tell them to put you on the top of the list. There's a whole lot of funk soldiers too. If you guys are listening, that I have your pictures. Everybody sends me a picture with the book. It's so cute, just like how you're standing there with your book like that. They'll be like. Everybody got their book, and they're so creative with taking pictures. There's about maybe 40 of you that I just haven't had time to put it on the funk wall, but trust me, I'm getting to your pictures, and I've got hundreds are up now, and I'm actually putting it on my website under funk fans, and then a lot of people are sending me reviews, so you can go on my website and read the reviews from the fans themselves.
Wow.
And from the I don't call them fans, or funk soldiers, from the soldiers themselves, and also those who didn't leave a comment, then they did send their books. They're going on my funk. I call it the Funk Wall of Fame, not the Funk Hall of Fame, the Funk Wall of Fame. And that's it's at my website, DawnSilva.com.
Wow.
And I really appreciate it.
The final comment to this show was Grace, coming from Grace. Phenomenal show, ladies. Thank you so much, Don, for your truth. Whoa!
Thank you for allowing me to share this with the masses. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
From the bottom of my heart.
Well, I can't wait to read the rest of your story.
Well, buckle up, baby. It's the mothership, so I'll be right.
Well, listen.
But you know what? For those who that got into some of the chapters and they're just like so emotional, I will let the cat out of the bag and say, when you get to part 5, the sun does come out. Part 5 is actually my favorite part of the whole book. It is.
Wow. The
rainbows and the sun peeps out, and it's beautiful. The storm is over when you get to part 5.
Woo! Well, listen, you guys, we're gonna go to our final section of this show. It is called our announcements. I'm going to bring in one of our another esteemed guest so that she can talk about what she wants to talk about. Hello, Felicia Pope. We welcome you to our show. Thank you for just coming in and talking about what is going on with your company.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me, Angee B. So I don't see my face on there. Is the video not on, or?
The video is not showing, but as long as we can hear you, go ahead and talk about what's going on with your company. Another phenomenal woman, Don.
Okay. Well, great. So I don't know about you guys, but we're always out there celebrating Black businesses, right? And so I'm one of those Black businesses. I have a business called Better Care for You. That's Better Care, the number 4. And what we do is we go out to the homes of our ill and our elderly to really help them to take care of the needs that they have, whether it's needing a bath, needing a shower, needing help with their meal, if they need, errands being ran, if they need to go to the doctor's appointment. Those are the kind of things that we do. And we do it in the familiarity of their home. So we're right there inside their home, taking care of their needs for them. And I mean, it's just been amazing because how I started this business was my mom had a bad car accident, and I started taking care of her. So from taking care of her and wanting her to get better care, it kind of birthed me to want to give better care to other people. And so I started where? In my community. And so that's what we've been doing. And we've been doing it a little over 4 years. And it's just been amazing.
Wow.
To just see families to be able to, with this new thing that's going on in life, new thing that's going on in their life, to help them to navigate a new normal. And so as you see on there, we treat our clients like family. And, we're always hiring. We're always looking for aides, people that have a heart for people, that have empathy. I love to hear about people who have taken care of their family members. So I love to hire people that's had that experience because they understand what it feels like to go in someone's home and to expect something that it will be taken care of and that their loved one will be taken care of. And so that's one thing that we just kind of love because it puts that personal touch on there. Yes. And it helps people to understand that you can really you really have empathy for them because you really can feel what they're going through. Ooh. And so that's some of the big things that we do over at Better Care for You. And we just appreciate being a part of the community and, filling the gaps for the families that are in need and helping them as a team to navigate this new normal and to help them to take care of their loved ones in the best way possible.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you for, joining in and, letting us know what you have been experiencing and the growth of your business, especially serving the community. Felicia, how can our viewing and listening audience get in contact with you if they know someone who is looking for a position with your company?
Okay, great. So what we do is we hire CNAs, and those are certified nursing assistants, and we do also train and hire PCAs, which is patient care assistants. And what you would do is you would go to Better Care, the number 4, YOU.com. So that's Better Care, the number 4, YOU.com. Or you can call us and contact us at 678-900-8397. Again, that's 678-900-8397.
97. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure for people that have our announcements will come on and have a talk with us. It's always better for us to, to hear from you. We can't see you right now, but it's okay. Well, I'm glad that we had your flyers so we can show to our viewing and listening audience what's going on with you. Just want to make another announcement, ladies and gentlemen, that we are so very proud of another friend of ours by the name of Dr. Kari. Dr. Kari is also hiring. So she is hiring prep, bakers, dishwashers, and packers. In case you don't know who Kari's Cookies is, then you haven't been a part of this show for so long because we have been celebrating and supporting everything that she has been doing.
I still haven't gotten any cookies, by the way.
The cookies is coming to you,
my friend. I'm just saying. I've been waiting. Just been waiting.
You're going to have to stand in line because she is now one of Oprah's favorite. She was picked maybe about a month ago. And when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, those cookies are flying out the door. Not only that, she has been featured on Tamron Hall's show, the Sherry Shepherd show, also on World News Tonight. So you know what happens when that goes on, Kim. Your business starts to boom, and now you need some help. So
and
what's that?
Before all of that happened, you had plenty of chances to send me my cookies. So now that all this is happening, there's just not going to be time to do that.
You got to stand in line. You got to stand in line. So for right now, ladies and gentlemen, she is hiring for all of those positions. And if you want to get in contact with her, you guys can actually go to hello@Kyrie'sCookies.com. Once again, email them at hello@Kyrie'sCookies.com. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank everyone who has been a part of this show. Man, Kim, I gotta say thank you, girl, for stepping in on this one right here.
I was in awe. I was just in awe and just mad because I gave my mom's funk albums away.
Oh gosh, yeah.
To some, I don't even want to talk about it. But as she was naming those songs, I could just remember it because my uncles were big funk heads. And that's all they ever played in the house as soon as they ever got home from school was Sly Stone, Parliament Funkadelic, Larry Graham. That's all you heard every day. So all those songs she was naming, I was like, I remember that. I remember that. I'm excited. I got to take a trip just to go spend the weekend with her.
Absolutely. You know what? And Kim, she is so down to earth. And I'm telling you, just gleaning back on what I said in the first place, you guys. The first time I talked to her, 2 hours. 2 hours.
Well, I mean, just yesterday doing the sound check, I fell in love with her instantly. She was just, it was like talking to my favorite auntie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, you guys, we are going to bid you farewell. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy the show, please, please, please hit that share button. Wait a minute, Miss Dawn Silva is coming right back.
She made it back.
She made it back. Hey, Dawn, I just want to make sure that you have any final words for our viewing and listening audience.
All right.
Can you hear us, Dawn? Must be a phone call. Dawn, can you hear us?
I think she's having.
Sometimes it knocks out what she can hear. But listen, you guys, I want to encourage you to have a happy holidays. Be safe out there. I hope you enjoyed this show. What I would really love for everyone who is viewing and watching us right now, please hit that share button. Please hit that share button. You never know who can learn from this history lesson. I'm telling you, you learned it from the best. You learned it from someone who actually experienced everything that she was talking about. And
we have to bring her back, Angee. Have to bring her back. Yeah. Like she only did like a fraction.
I know.
Fraction.
Let me show
you could tell it was getting ready to get like deep.
Deep. Let me show this book one more time, you guys. The book is full of knowledge. It's full of beautiful pictures, you guys. And I'm telling you, easy read. It's hard to put down. It's heavy to pick up, but hard to put down. So I don't know if you can hear us, Dawn. Can you speak?
I think she's having problems hearing this while she's waving.
Oh, okay.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you now.
But, it was a treasure. I really enjoyed it, and you guys done funked my battery all the way out to nuts.
Oh, we lost her again.
Talk the battery down, you guys. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I want to let you know that we here at Level Up, we're doing a special broadcast this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. with just me and Mr. Scribe. We're just going to talk about what has happened in this past year and how we're going to go forward in the new year. Before I go, you guys, I want to encourage you once again to head on over to StoopUp.com. StoopUp.com. That's where you will see us live. If you enjoyed being a part of our show, being a part of this conversation, head on over there, get your stoops ready to go, and be ready for our next live show. Our next live show, ladies and gentlemen, will be on this Tuesday, a special broadcast this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Let's try to get her right back on. Can you hear us now?
Get back.
Now we can't hear her.
Hear her.
We can't hear her.
We can't hear.
We can't. I know.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. And so, so we're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back, Don. Thank you so, so much. And you guys, we are done on this edition of The Real Level Up. Well, you're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee. We'll see you on Tuesday for our special broadcast. We love you, mean it. Take care.
Love you.
Hey, this is Ash Cash, the financial motivator, and I need you to level up.
Hey, this is Gina A. Towns on Real Talk that takes you higher. Level up.
Hello, this is Roger Yeager. Level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m.
Hey, this is Dr. Crystal of Kaleidoscope Counseling Center. Level up with me and Angee from the Bee.